everybody, I'm Pia from Stitches and Scraps, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet the star stitch. Start with an even number of chains. For this example I'm using 16. Now to make a star, for every star we need 6 loops on our hook. Right now we have 1. We're going to pick up 5 more in 5 chains. Skip the first chain because this first loop is already coming out of that first chain. So go on to the next chain, and there's our second loop. Next one gives us our third loop, and then our fourth loop, 5, and 6. So working into these 5 chains here, I've picked up 5 more loops, and now I have 6. Now yarn over and draw through all 6, and then make a chain 1 to close your star. So let's pause and take a look at the shape of our star and what the different parts are. We have this circle in the center, that's called the eye of our star, and it was formed when we made our chain 1. Those 6 loops became 6 legs or posts of our star. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, and then this right here, this last chain that we worked into, we're going to call that the base of our star. So when we make our next star, we're going to start by working vertically along this star. So we have 1 loop already coming out of the top. We're going to get a second loop coming out of the eye, a third loop coming out of the side, this last leg right here. And you can either go between the 2 legs or you can go into this loop here created by this leg. Okay? And then the fourth loop comes out of the base, and that leaves us with 2 more loops that we need to get. So we'll get 1, 2 out of the next 2 chains. So let's make another star and see how that comes together. We have the 1 loop already on our hook. The second loop comes out of the center, out of that eye. The third loop comes from this leg. The fourth loop comes from the base, or that last chain that we worked into. And then we have 2 loops remaining, so we pick up a loop in the next 2 chains. And now we have 6 loops on our hook. Yarn over, draw through all 6, and chain 1 to close. And there's our second star. Let's do it again. 1 loop's on our hook, 2 in the eye, 3 in the leg. I made that one a little tight. 3 in the leg, 4 in the base, 5 and 6 in the next 2 chains. Now yarn over, pull through all 6, and chain 1 to close. And we keep doing that all the way across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yarn over, pull through, and chain 1 to close. Now this edge isn't really very straight, is it? I mean, you can see the chain sticks out a little past it, and it's got this weird eye going on there. So in order to give us a nice clean edge, we're just going to do a half double crochet right into the base of this star in that same chain that we just worked into, that same last chain. We're just going to do a half double crochet. And that gives us a cleaner edge. So now we're ready to start row 2. Row 2 is fairly easy. We're just going to do single crochets all the way across. So chain 1 to get us up to the height of our single crochets, and our first single crochet goes right into this half double. And our next single crochet is going to go into the center of the first star, into that eye of the star, right there. Okay, that's our first 2. Now if you remember, every star we made picked up 2 stitches from the next 2 chains, right? So every star is 2 stitches wide. So in the center of every star, we're going to make 2 stitches. So here we're going to do, we've got 2 already for this one. The first star only gets 1 stitch in the center because we have the one at the edge. So there's 2 for that star. Now we're going to do 2 stitches into the eye of every star across. Now when we come to the end, we're going to put one extra stitch in the corner, again to give us a nice even side. So we have 2 stitches in each star across, and we're going to put one extra stitch into the corner here. Okay, so that finishes row 2. Now we're ready to start row 3. Row 3 is very much like row 1, except instead of working into a foundation chain, we're working into the stitches from row 2. Now, if you remember, on our foundation chain, we had 16 chains, but on row 2, we only have 13 stitches. So we need to make up those extra 3 chains somehow. Well, I could chain 3 to start my next row, but that gets a little bit floppy. It just feels like a little bit too many chains. So I'm going to show you a trick using a chain 2 where we use one of the chains twice. Let's see how that works. Chain 2, and let's look at the anatomy of a chain here, okay? Every chain has 3 loops. You have this front loop and back loop that you're used to, and then you have the third loop, that back bump at the back there. What we're going to do is we're going to work into 2 of these loops. Any 2 you want, whatever is easiest for you, just be consistent and do it the same way every time. Now, just like when we started, we already have a loop coming out of our first chain, so I'm going to ignore the first chain and pick up a loop in the second chain. And in this case, my first loop, I'm going to use the front loop of the chain to pick up a loop. Okay, I know I'm saying loop a lot, but unfortunately it's all loops. Now, you can do whatever's easiest for your second loop. You can either pick it up in the back bump, or you can pick it up in this back loop here. Right there. Okay, whichever one makes the most sense to you, whichever one gives you a finish you like. I'm going to pick it up in the back loop, so now I have one coming out of the front loop and one coming out of the back loop. And that way I use this chain twice, so I have less bulk along the side, but I still get the number of loops I need. So there's my 3 loops to start with, and then I need 3 more, so I'm going to pick up 3 loops in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Now I have 6 loops on my hook, and we know how to finish our star by pulling through and then chaining 1. Now we just continue like we did for row 1, making more stars. So again, we have 1 loop on the hook, second loop comes from the eye, third loop comes from the leg, fourth loop comes from the base, and the 5th and 6th loops come from the next 2 stitches. Finish our star and chain 1 to close it. Now I finished my last star, and that's taken me right to my last stitch. And again, we need to get a nice finished edge, so we just do a half double crochet in that same last stitch, right where we finished our last star. And that is our next row of star stitch. So now we're going to keep repeating rows 2 and 3, and we're going to end on a repeat of row 2, so we have a nice even top of single crochet stitches. And that is how you make the star stitch. Thanks for watching.